If you have a Blue Yeti as a backup, you can use the pop filter for both. It was not reducing my voice quite as much as the compressor should have. That is kind of where a hardware compressor built into a mixer or audio interface does come into play. This guy's happy, and if you are happy, it tells you where to tell people how happy you are. And if you're sad, you look like this guy over here, it tells you where you can tell them why you're upset. So, very nice. You'd also do get a little sticker here. That's also kind of like my favorite color, that tealish turquoise there. I like that. It's cheaper than a Blue Yeti and cheaper than a HyperX QuadCast. But does it sound cheaper? So personally, where I think the UM700 has tremendous value is in its multiple pickup patterns. The only plug-and-play USB microphones that offer 4 selectable pickup patterns would be the HyperX QuadCast, $160, or the Blue Yeti, $130. Now, this retails for $100, however, you will find it on sale pretty frequently for around the mid-80s to low 90s. And if this performs similarly to those 2 other microphones, which, by the way, I do have extensive experience with, especially the Blue Yeti Blackout Edition, that was my daily driver for about 2 years until I recently made the jump to a digital mixer with an XLR microphone. So, I've got to say the packaging looks pretty good and whatnot. It is compatible with Mac as well as Windows 10, so that is good for you Mac users out there. Alright, so opening the box, first thing I'm greeted with is some nice laser cut foam in here. That is awesome, especially for a $100 microphone, considering I'm not going to name any names, but there are a lot of condenser mic companies out there, dynamic and condenser mics, that are just thrown in there with some basic egg carton, some cheap cardboard. So this is really nice. So immediately, initial impressions, this feels just like a Blue Yeti, which is a good thing. It is very, very sturdy. This is all metal construction. This thing has some serious weight to it with the stand attached. It does come right out of the box with the stand already attached. Toss those aside. Little silica gel pack, make sure you dispose of that properly so your pets or children do not get a hold of it. They will die. This is an all-metal body, not only on the microphone itself, but also on the stand. It has a rubberized material on the bottom, and it is very easy to swivel and adjust. If you tighten it down, it won't move around on you, and it does come with a pop filter. That is really nice. The $130 Blue Yeti does not come with a pop filter. You have to spend about 10 bucks on Amazon to get yourself one of these, so that is really nice. Now, granted, there is somewhat of an internal pop filter underneath this metal shroud or cover here. However, you do want to add yourself a pop filter, so on your plosives, Peter Piper pickled a pepper, it basically softens the blow of that, and also some of your S's, unless you are running some kind of a de-esser, which obviously, since this is a USB plug-and-play microphone, it will be a software de-esser, not a hardware de-esser like I have with my mixer back there. So, like I said, it has 4 selectable pickup patterns. Now, if you are using this for streaming, YouTubing, some kind of commentary work, or even just a solo podcast, 99.9% of the time you are simply going to leave it in the cardioid pickup pattern, which is basically going to funnel your voice directly into the front of the microphone. However, since this is a plug-and-play USB microphone, you can take this on the go in a backpack or a laptop bag and be able to conduct an interview out in town by basically setting it all the way to the right to the bi-directional, and basically you can set this on a desk at a coffee shop or something like that and conduct a one-on-one interview. That was one of the coolest things that I liked about the Blue Yeti, is that you have 4 completely different scenarios that you can handle. So say, for example, you're trying to do some nature videography and you want to be able to pick up the entire sounds of the forest you're in or whatever. You can put it in omnidirectional, and that will basically receive sound from 360 degrees around, so the viewer kind of gets the experience that they're there with you. Same thing if you're doing some kind of a conference or some kind of a conference or meeting around the round table, so to speak. You put that in omnidirectional and it picks up everyone's voices. Bidirectional picks up from the front and the back, so obviously if you're doing some kind of an interview, it works really well. Now, granted, if both people are speaking at the same time, it is going to have to compress and use the onboard preamp and analog to digital converter to handle both of those voice sources simultaneously. However, 90% of the time during an interview, it's one person talking at a time. Obviously, if you start to cut the other person off, you're like, oh, no, you go ahead, unless you guys are just a couple of a-holes. But, you know, technically, it should only be receiving one voice at a time from either the front or around back ladies. This would handle that very, very well. And then of course you do have the stereo mode. What that is used for is primarily ASMR. So if you want to whisper some sweet nothings on Twitch and just chatting over here, and then you want to come over here and, you know, get in the ear canal from over here, you can do that. But again, 90% of the time, if you're using this for streaming or YouTubing and it's just you, you're a one-man or woman show, you're just going to keep it in cardioid pickup pattern, and you are most likely going to have it on some kind of a boom arm, which we are going to mount it on the blue compass back there, which is my boom arm. And this does have a standard thread mount on the bottom for that. You do also have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack for lag-free monitoring. It does have micro USB. I would like to see USB-C. However, the Blue Yeti and the HyperX, which are more expensive, they also use micro USB, so not a huge deal there. And have an actual legitimate gain knob here to where you can set in Windows 10 your microphone sensitivity to about 50% and then use the gain knob to adjust everything else. If you're gonna move the microphone away from you, turn it up a little bit, you get close to your mouth because you're trying to, you know, accentuate the rich, deep bass in your voice, you can turn it down a little bit. And yeah, so overall this feels phenomenal. There's absolutely zero flex in this mesh filter here. I'm squeezing it pretty much as hard as I can. Granted, I'm a relatively weak dude, but I can't flex it or anything like that, so that is good. I think it looks really good with this flat matte design. It looks a lot like the Blue Yeti Blackout, which is right here for comparison. So as you can see, it's just slightly slimmer, which I think is a good thing, because if you're gonna have it in a boom arm in front of you like this microphone right here is thick. It is a thick boy with 3 C's, which kind of sucks, because when you're playing video games or something, you constantly have this down here in your peripherals, or if you have it up above you, you constantly see this because it's so huge. Now this is a little bit thinner. It is still a rather large microphone, but it is thinner, narrower. I also do like the shape of the capsule cover here a little bit better than just this rounded design here. That's completely personal preference. Cosmetics are completely subjective, but this virtually has the same hardware physical controls on it as the Blue Yeti over here. As you see, you have a mute button and a volume button for the headphones. Now this has the pickup pattern and the gain on the front, but if you flip it on its ear, you do have a mic button right there in the back. So when you press that, there is a LED light that will flash to indicate, and then you do have your adjustment for your headphone volume here. Now I will say twisting the knob does feel a little bit cheap. It's very loose. There's very little resistance as compared to the Blue Yeti. It has a nice resistance to it. Not a huge deal, but just something to mention. Same thing with the mute button. All the switches feel a little bit more premium on the Blue. The only thing I'm actually concerned about from a performance standpoint about that mute button there is because that's so loud to our ears right now, that will probably reverberate a lot inside the body of the microphone, to where if you press this, it's probably going to make a big, loud, popping sound inside the microphone. So hopefully it doesn't. We will test that. That's why a lot of microphones like the HyperX QuadCast are going to a capacitive touch mute now, where you don't click a physical button, you basically just tap with your finger and it senses it and mutes it like that, so you don't have that big, you know, pop every time you mute. But all in all, the fact that this has all the controls of a $130 Blue Yeti, which by the way, these did retail for more than $130, it's just they've come down in price as this is a rather old microphone now. And it literally has all the same plugs and everything. You've got 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, the same mount for a boom arm, which is very important if you are going to be using this for YouTube or streaming. And then this actually uses mini USB, and this is micro USB, so I personally would prefer micro USB. To me, mini USB is an even older technology, and then it goes micro, and then USB-C, obviously. I wonder if the pop filter will work on this. It does. Cool. If you have a Blue Yeti as a backup, you can use the pop filter for both. So as for included accessories in the box of the UM700, you do have this instruction manual, and as you guys probably know if you've been around the channel, I am a bit of a connoisseur, a bit of a snob, some people say, when it comes to instruction manuals. And this satisfies me. It doesn't take me to visual climax or anything like that, but it is quite satisfying to read. Good pictures, very descriptive, not color or anything like that, but English is the primary language, good font, easy to read even for an old man like myself that doesn't have the eyes of an eagle anymore. And it, of course, gets nitty-gritty with the tech specs, which I like to see. Goes everything from the frequency response to the size in millimeters, its weight in ounces and grams, the sensitivity of the actual capsule, the frequency response, and it gives you, and I like this a lot too, it gives you a description of what the 4 different capsule modes would be used for, which I kind of covered earlier what their primary uses are, but very, very nice. Then you also have this little card right here. This guy's happy, and if you are happy, it tells you where to tell people how happy you are. And if you're sad, you look like this guy over here, it tells you where you can tell them why you're upset. So, very nice. You'd also do get a little sticker here. That's also kind of like my favorite color, that tealish turquoise there. I like that. So we already covered the pop sock. That is very nice that it is included. The included stand here, I would say, is a lot better than the HyperX QuadCast, but about the same as far as build quality, usability as the Blue Yeti's stand. So that is very, very nice. It is easy to adjust. And then you have a very, very long USB-C cable. This is at least a 10 or 12 footer. I don't have the exact inches, ladies, but it's long and it'll do the job for you. Oh boy. All right, so I actually take it back about the instruction manual. It does have color. Very descriptive pictures here, and it shows you how to get set up with Windows 10, Windows 8, which is really cool that they actually offer support for that, as well as Mac iOS as well. It walks you step by step how to get set up with the microphone, which is really cool. Very, very crisp, clean pictures. I like it. Speaking of crisp and clean, let's see how this microphone sounds. Let's hook this bad boy to the front of the tower here. We're going to do a couple of tests standing on the desk with the included stand. Then we're also going to mount it on the compass boom arm. Do a couple of tests there. See what stacks up to things like the Blue Yeti. Alrighty guys, so I have the Movo UM700 about 6 to 7 inches in front of my mouth on the included stand with the included pop filter. This is only with a noise gate on to cut out the background noise of my PC fans. There is no compressor or equalizer on this. We are going to add those in just a moment, as those generally are the 3 VST plugins that I run on any USB microphone. And same thing with a XLR microphone. You're probably going to use a hardware compressor, noise gate, and equalizer to kind of richen up your voice a little bit and give you that really professional sound. But sharing my screen over here, as you can see, all I have on is a noise gate, cutting out my background sounds. And then also, if you come down here to your Windows 10 settings, go ahead and right click, go to sound settings. I'd automatically installed the drivers, of course, as it is plug and play, and then it defaulted the default device to the speaker, the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack in the bottom for monitoring your voice, and then also the input. It selected the Movo UM700 as my default microphone. But if you come over here to device properties, by default this was at 75. I tapered it back to 70, and then I had the gain knob on the back of the actual mic set at about the 50%. Top dead center there, just about at 50%. Also, me picking up this microphone and moving it around is going to give us a good idea as to the handling noise. So when you're actually, I'm going to touch the body of the microphone here with my hands. All right. I'm rubbing the microphone right now. I'm bumping my desk with the included stand. Touching the metal stand right now. It's out of the box stand. I'm caressing it. I'm fondling it. What does this sound like? Alrighty guys, we're still on the desk about 6 to 7 inches away from my mouth on the default stand with the default pop filter. I have added a tasteful, subtle equalizer to my voice to kind of give you a little bit more of that radio presence and whatnot, and I am also running a subtle compressor as well to kind of bring down my lows, amplify them a little bit, and then also when I get loud, should also decrease the volume as well. How now, brown cow? The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. How does this Movo mic sound? It's cheaper than a Blue Yeti and cheaper than a HyperX QuadCast. But does it sound cheaper? So I did want to do a test of the mute switch by pressing it a couple times because it is rather noisy when you're just pressing it. So I want to see if it actually echoes inside of the body of the microphone and creates a loud audible pop. Test. So it's looking as if it is on Streamlabs OBS. It shows my audio source for the microphone kind of peaking a little bit when I press the mute button. So I'm going to listen back to that and see what that sounds like. All right, let's get her on the boom arm and see how she performs. All right, boys, so we're now mounted with the UM700 on the compass boom arm here. This is exactly the sound profile that you would be getting if you're on a boom arm about 3 to 4 inches away from your mouth with the default pop filter. Windows 10 gain is at 70%, and then the gain knob on the back is at about the 50% or halfway mark. It is, of course, in the cardioid pattern. Could you stream like this? Red team, go. Cover me. I'm reloading. I get a little quiet on stream. And then sometimes I get a little loud. So it does look like it was in the red there. It didn't look like it was quite clipping or peaking. However, it was not reducing my voice quite as much as the compressor should have. That is kind of where a hardware compressor built into a mixer or audio interface does come into play and does make a difference. But I have to say, listening back to those clips though, does sound pretty damn good. Alrighty, boys, so I did make the equalizer and compressor a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more radio-esque, a little bit more spicy, I guess you could say. And this is probably the settings that I would run if I were to be using this microphone as my daily driver, and I have to say, you definitely could. This sounds, to me, virtually indistinguishable from the Blue Yeti, which is about $130. I spent 2 years with that microphone, so I definitely know the sound profile with my voice, how my audio waves through those 3 VST plugins that I'm running right now is supposed to sound and does sound out of that microphone. Now, I have to say, I personally can't think of a reason to spend an extra $30 or $60 on a microphone that does the exact same thing, that has 4 cardioid patterns, has an onboard gain, has onboard headphone monitoring with 0 latency, unless you just want that name brand. You want that blue logo or that HyperX logo showing on camera on stream, and hey, I'm not judging if that's you, but if you just want something that looks tasteful, classy, has a flat matte design, does virtually everything that a Blue Yeti does for $30 less, sometimes $40 or $45, depending if there's a sale running, I have to say this is it. This is definitely it. The UM700 by Movo. Definitely strongly recommend. I will have a link to the VST plugins that I'm running on my voice down there in the description below, as well as this microphone itself, and also the boom arm that I'm using. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments section below. I'm very active with the community here at Gamer Heaven, and I do answer your guys' questions daily. If you enjoyed this video, liking it helps it to get seen by more people, so this information can reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover a lot of news in the gaming community and industry, as well as tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.